All right, so we're going to start with going into Schoology, and this is brand new Schoology thing. Okay, and so if I want to start something, whatever I'm going to work on, this is just going to be kind of like my files. So I'm going to add a folder because I'm going to start with a folder. And so the folder that I'll start with is something like language. We'll just do a language folder.
I'm lost.
I'm in my sandbox. Is that where I'm supposed to be?
Yeah, just in your sandbox is fine.
Where's the sandbox?
Did you create it? You should have a sandbox because we've created them before. Go into your
How do you
courses.
find it? Oh, courses?
Go into your courses, and there should be,
Ham sandbox?
there you go, right there. And that sandbox is just for you to play with. That's whenever we're building stuff, I always build everything I do in my sandbox. And then I move it into resources for other people or into my course for my kids. So resources is for everybody else to access if I want them to, or someplace to keep it that you can keep using the same thing over and over every year. Does that make sense?
Sarah's creating a new one.
Nice.
So is she just naming it Sandbox?
Just name it Sandbox, a new course.
Create, you don't have to
I
put
pushed
a
that
number
before, but it
in.
Yeah.
wouldn't do it.
You got to do an ongoing at the very, very bottom of the thing. It'll say where it says dates. The very bottom, you just got to do ongoing, and that'll go for the next 20 years.
What's your computer password?
Well, it's all online.
That's
That's nice.
Green
Yeah.
is-
It's all online. It's all ready to go.
It happens sometimes.
Okay, so we're gonna make. You're in your sandbox.
Yes.
I am, but I don't really get this. But
It's okay. We're gonna do it today. So get on and click on Add Materials, and click on Folder.
add folder.
Add folder, and then type in. We'll just create a language. So then just create language, and if you want to be really cool, you can pick a color. So I'm going to make mine green.
I have a question.
Yeah.
This is a little bit more the right term about, but when you're adding like questions in, like when you click on add, can you switch them around if once you get them, or is it just in the order that you put them in?
You can switch them around if you're in your sandbox
Yeah,
or in
just
a
in my
course.
sandbox.
Yes. If you're in resources, there's a whole other step you have to do.
Okay.
So you want to build everything you can in your sandbox or in your course.
And you're
Because
creating.
then you can move things around and do all kinds of stuff. You can still do that stuff in resources. It's just you have to actually click on a couple other things to be able to do that. Okay, did you get that? Did you change it to your favorite color? And then, once you're done, you can put a description down here. So if I wanted to put a description, I could write something like, this folder is for grammar practice and writing. So, and all that is just for people to know what that's for. And then you can add a date. It's got an end date if you want to do that. Usually for folders, I usually don't any of that. And then you want it to be visible so people can see it. And then once you got that, click create. And it will create yourself a folder. And it'll come up as a folder. There we go. Pretty easy. So now go into your folder, just click on it, and it'll take you into the folder. And now we're going to add some different things. Just click on the word.
Oh, language.
Yeah, always click on the word, and that'll be the button that will take you in.
This folder is
Okay, so now we're going to add, the first thing we're going to add is we're going to add an assignment. There's a couple things you can do in here. Adding an assignment is something that your kids will send back to you that nobody else can see but you and them. Tests and quizzes is about that. Files are things they can access. Discussion is something that they can put in that anybody in your class can see. Anybody that's part of your class. A page is just a page. It's just something for them to look at and read. Media album, if you want a bunch of pictures, then it just gives them a kind of like a slideshow that you can go through and look at pictures. So if there's something you want to do from that. But we're going to add an assignment. So click on Add Assignment. And the assignment we're going to add is writing a sentence. And that'll be just the name. And then we'll go into the description. And we're going to tell them what we want them to do. And that's your directions. So write a sentence about what? Thanksgiving. And then you can add more in there if you want to go down. Then you can add in a bullet. You can say capital letters.
Is there an undo on this?
Say again.
An undo?
I'm just delete. What do you mean an undo?
Like I did a bullet, but I didn't want it there.
Oh, and then just click the bullet again, and it'll take it off. Capital letters, punctuation. There you go. But I probably want to explain that. So say, don't forget the following items in your sentence. Okay, and then that would be my directions. And then the students would read that, and then they'd go in and then they could input it. There are a couple things you can do on here if you want. There's a beautiful thing right here that's called a microphone. You can actually record saying that to the students.
Nice.
And so you just click on audio and it'll come up, and I don't have a microphone on my thing over here, but if you did on your laptops, then it'll show you a little bar over here, how loud it is. You just click record, and then just record what it says. But you notice it hides it. So make sure that you know what you're going to say before.
Do they see like a little icon or
They
something
will.
on there?
It will actually come up, and it will show. It will show a little, like a player, like a triangle.
So they
they
know
click on,
there's some audio.
and if they've got headphones, then they just click on it, and it'll record it. And that's what it'll do. Okay, and then you insert it, and it'll insert it somewhere, and you can move it where you want it. So if you want to do a little video, if you want to do something like that. If you're going to pull a video from somewhere for them to look at for this, then I would suggest doing it on here, inserting comment. You can put pictures in, you can put in video from your drive or wherever, but this is where you would just grab a video or a picture, and you can put it in somewhere over here. And that way they could look at the picture, read the sentence, and then they could go in and submit their information. And sometimes that makes it a little easier. I've started putting due dates. I usually don't, but I've started putting due dates in so I know which kids put all their stuff in and if they're late. If you put a due date in, it'll let them put it in anytime they want. But it just, after that date and time, it'll tell you that they've turned it in late. So, and that gives me an idea of if people were absent or if they need extra help or how slow they can be. If you keep everything at 100 points, I don't know if you want to do that. I usually put it at 1, 2, or 3 points. They turned it in, they got your rubric, however much your rubric is. Do they have capital letters? Do they have periods? Do they have a subject and a predicate? Do they have all of those things? Then you just say, well, I only want to make that worth 3 points because they just need to make sure the sentence has got everything in it, capital and a period.
Okay, I inserted a video that was actually on my laptop just because I wanted to see what it was. I changed it to write a friendly letter instead of a sentence, and then I have a video about writing a friendly letter.
Beautiful.
But it just come out weird.
It will on this just because
It's like yellow, just all.
it'll come up kind of interesting right here, but once you submit it in and create it, then it'll show kind of the way it's supposed to, and we'll look at that.
I mean, just really don't know about this even as much. So how do kids use this? What do they get on an iPad?
They get on an iPad,
And-
they go into Schoology,
And
and then they can go into your course. It's like a class, and then they find this assignment, which is the only assignment that will be there. It'll just show up in this folder, and then it'll show up like this. They click on it, and then it gives them an option on their iPads to submit something, and then they go in and it'll bring up a box where they can start typing. And I'll show you what it looks like on an iPad.
first graders really
Oh, you'll be surprised.
They look at that.
They can do a lot of this at home.
I
I'm
know.
sure they can do a lot of this at school.
I've had some typing on that seesaw. Now that they know the finger spaces. They can do it.
Where there's a
I
will,
wanna do
there's
an
a way.
excited mark.
Create the will,
Yeah.
they'll make the way. And then a lot of it is we just got to give them the chance to do things. They're pretty amazing. They can do a lot more, and if they know their letters, they'll find them. And to be able to do it on an iPad, oh,
have to do stuff.
Let me ask you a question. So I have on here, I added a test at one time, but I changed it, and then I have an assignment. The way I want to use it is for answering questions about each chapter of a book they read.
okay,
Would you enter that as a test or an assignment?
I would enter it as a
Because
test.
it's short essay, right, or a
Yeah.
short answer.
Yeah, let me finish this. We'll do a discussion really quick, and then I'll show you tests, and then I'll show you how you can get some information from that. So this is basically your. The one thing you want to do when you're setting these up is you want to make sure that there's no comments. Make sure that you uncheck the comment, because then there's 2 places for them to enter information.
So where's that at after create?
Right on the very bottom, there's some icons across the bottom.
You have to go to edit for that, don't you?
Yeah,
Go
you
back
need to be in
into
the
it.
edit. So that's the one thing, is I go through here and I sometimes I forget it. And then the kids go, well, I turned it in. And I'm like, oh, show me your comments.
You want them disabled.
Disable the comment. If it's colored, they can see it. Or it's live. If it's not, then it's not.
So disabling comments allows what? Them not to type?
Not to comment, because it gives them, you'll notice that when I went in there, there's the comment right there.
Yeah.
You see
I'll
that?
take it away.
So now it took that away.
Okay.
And that way the kid actually has to make a submission. They actually have to submit something instead of commenting on it. So the comments just make a comment for the assignment, so they could say something snarky about it, which we do in college and high school, but in elementary they just get it mixed up. So, and I forget to do that sometimes, and my kids get in and do it. And I'm like, oh, that was my mistake. So I have them take a picture of the comment, and then they submit that.
So what did you do, like I'm on a page where it still shows edit and stuff on mine, do I just click on that?
This is the cog. That's where you can always get your information.
There, I just clicked on it, okay.
And then you click at it, and you got the rest of that.
Can you make it so that the comments are always disabled unless you
No.
enable them?
No, they're always there. And
I just wondered if you could make your own settings for yourself.
not for a lot of this. It's just by individual thing. The circle means that they can see it all the time. That means it's visible. This little arrow down means they can submit something. There's locks, there's this 3 thing. Eventually, I'll show you how you can individually send it to different kids. You can say, I want these 3 kids to answer this, nobody else. So you can do things like that also. So if you have specific groups with specific reading, then you can have them take that little quiz on just that book. And you can sign it just to those kids.
Now, there's not an icon for this on the iPads,
Yeah, there
right?
is.
Mhm.
There is. You can
Is there
create
one on
them.
our-
An app.
There is an app on it, so
Um,
Yeah, I think
they
it's
would just
on
have to
mobile.
click on the app, okay.
Yeah.
Then they log in with their like lunch number.
Their lunch number and everything, and I actually
Is
put
it
a
gonna be the
video
same
on
as
our
their other-
PD site that you'll probably want to watch.
Their other, Lexi, I mean, all that's the same number for all.
It's going to be the same number, username and password from here until they are gone from Washington County. Okay? Okay, so there's our assignment. So then we'll go into a discussion, so we'll add a discussion. And you'll notice the discussion looks a little bit different. One thing that's nice between the two is if there's an assignment, when the kids go and do a submission, they can actually save a draft. So if they save that, then they can come back to it later. So if a kid doesn't turn something in, then go in and see if they saved a draft instead of submitting it. But as a discussion, it looks exactly the same. The difference is if we're going to do this on,
Let me ask you this, what if you, this was a journal prompt and then you wanted them to type it in here, could you put this as a discussion? Okay.
definitely, what animal do you like? So then we just go down and there's your question. Tell me in one sentence
Want other kids to see it, or if you just want them to see it too, where
what
you put it
your,
for discussion, the whole class can see what they write.
Journal prompt.
A submission, only you can see what they see.
yeah.
And they can still type in a submission too.
So tell me in one sentence what your favorite animal is. In fact, I'd probably, just as the title, I would just say animal. Or even favorite animal, just so that I know what the title is. And then on the bottom here, there is a couple extra differences here. You can still do the video and audio, and you can still add an image or anything in here for a video or whatever you want. But down on this icon, if you click this and make sure this one is live, then the kids can't see anybody else's until they type their answer.
That's a good one.
And that's a newer thing that they've got over the last year. If it's not highlighted, then they can see everybody else's submissions before they ever type in. So anybody else's answers. So then you click on that and they can go in and they'll just type all their answers in, and as soon as they submit, they can see everybody else's answers. So they can read theirs and then they can read everybody else's also. Gives them a chance to see other people's information. It helps them read because then they want to read what other people are saying about animals or whatever. And then you just create that. There is a way to grade discussions, but we usually don't grade them. But if you want to grade, there is a place that we can do that a little bit later. So does that make sense? So this one is only between you and the student. This one is between everybody in the class. And to see everybody in the class, you go down here and look at members. And this will be all the members of your class. And you'll notice I am the only member of my class
Sandbox.
because it's my sandbox.
I'm like, me too.
So, but if you go into your course, So in your grade course, it'll show you everybody in your class that has access to it.
And if you go into that and click on members, then
It will show everybody that's in your class. And you can invite Mrs. Mitchell, you can invite Jay, you can invite me, Angie, and make us administrators, and we will stay there the whole time. We won't do anything in it, but if you say, hey, come and look at what my kids did here, then you can just send them an email, and they can get on and they can actually look at it. So
what is the access code on the site?
this is an access code, so if you want somebody else to be a part of this, so if I want you to be a part of my sandbox, then I give you this code, and you are a part of my
Like
sandbox.
if there's an assignment that we want their parent to be able to see, or?
Parents are a little bit different, because if you go into the members, on the side over here, well, actually I'll go
It says
in.
parent access codes.
Yeah, the parent access code, this, when you click on this, it will download an access code to every parent. And all they have to do, and it gives them instructions, they just go into Schoology and they type in that access code and they can see only their students' information. So they can't read the discussions for everybody, just what their child has put in. All their assignments, all their stuff. Yeah. And that way there's no privacy issues with reading everybody else's information. Okay? All right. So, tests. So let's look at a test. The way you can create the test is you go into Add Materials and you can add a test or a quiz. And this is if you do, and so I'll do my sentence quiz. And, oh, I didn't show you all the things on here. This is one that I always keep at 100 points, because that'll show you a percentage out of 100. Even though you have 2 problems, or if I usually put 10 to 15 problems on a test, then that'll keep it as a percentage and show you the percentage out of 100. And that's the only reason I do that.
What if you're not grading it?
Then it doesn't really matter. It doesn't
You
matter.
don't have to, I mean, you have to put a number in there, won't maybe not put anything.
Yeah, it'll leave it at 100, it automatically stays there. So if you want to put 1, it makes the difference, or however many your things are, that would be fine. It's got comments here, so uncheck your comments. And then if you want it to be graded, if you create a category and have it graded, it will show up on your PowerSchool. So, and then it's got different options of things. So I'm going to save that, and then there's my sentence quiz. Now I can start adding different questions. It's got true, false. You can do multiple guess. You can have them order things. So they pick this one to go here, this one to go there. So you can order them, and there's your short answer. So you just say, tell me about this, and then they can type in whatever. Fill in the blank. So if you want them to fill in a blank, it looks kind of weird with the fill in the blank. So you have to train them on that one. And then you can match it. You can have them match things on different sites.
What's the question bank?
The question bank.
Choose the answer from me.
These are question banks that the districts put in for, they're trying to put all the treasures tests in so you can just pull from things. Any question banks from anywhere that they've put in, you can look at those and start putting those things on. And this one is if you want to import or test a quiz from Treasures or Wonders or My Math or whatever, you can import it from there. And then you can actually design the test different. You can get rid of questions, you can add your own, you can do different things with it. And then there's a page break, or if you want to add something at the beginning, don't forget to read this or something like that. So I'm going to add in, let's do a short answer question.
Let me ask you this, so I don't give my question to my students until after they read the chapter. Is there a way that would I have to make a separate test or a separate quiz for each one of those? Because I just made one and then I opened it up and it's got all of the questions on it.
You want to do, if they're different books or different times, you want it
I'm just saying, I don't want them to look at chapter 2's question before they read chapter 2.
Then do chapter 1 test, chapter 2, chapter 3. And that's the easiest way to do it. And the nice thing about this is once you get your questions in, you can go into settings and you can say, I want it hidden right now. But you can also say, I want it available from Tuesday at 10 o'clock till Tuesday at 11 o'clock. That's under the
Availability.
settings. So you can set a time period. You can say, it's only available on this day.
So I can hide it until they're ready for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't need to create a separate one.
Well-
Hide all of your questions of chapter 1.
But when it was just under the cog on just that one
Just that one question.
Yeah.
It, under that question,
That question, each question had a different, had a
Its own
separate
edit.
cog. And then when I clicked on it, then I could get into settings from there on that. And it was on that, just that one.
and so it has an available from on the test. Interesting. Let's look at that. The only thing I worry about that is